Ian, councillor for the ward of Bush Fair, what are the typical issues that come up in your surgery and out and about on the street?
The main issues that people come to speak to the local ward councillors in Bush Fair about are things like parking, are things like antisocial behaviour, are problems that they feel aggrieved by. The other element, I suppose, that's worth mentioning is the stuff that's not necessarily through surgeries, but through direct contact, through email or telephone calls, and those tend to be the more individual, the things that's actually affecting people directly. So people will come to us with housing issues, people will come to us because they're living in a block of flats and their communal area has become full of debris because the tenant has just moved out. So we're used as a conduit in that respect for solving some of those day-to-day issues, or trying to solve some of those day-to-day issues. But on a general term, as far as the issues of the people of Bush Fair, the things that they're telling me that they're concerned about in numbers is the landscaping issues, which we have absolutely made a priority in addressing, and the parking, which is slightly more problematic.
Because when Frederick Gibbard built this town, he didn't think that most people had at least 2 cars.
No, it didn't envisage that there would be 1 car per household, let alone 2 or 3 cars per household. And of course, the flip side of that coin was Harlow in the 60s and 70s, and to some degree in the 80s, had a very efficient bus service. So there wasn't the need for people to have or to feel the need in order to get from one end of the town where Bush Fair is located, say, to the station, because there was an efficient, effective bus service that would run into the late hours of the bus service.
Standing here, physically in the Nichols Field, and one of the things people see is like just to your right is the centre here. You go across to Ty Green, where there's closed centres there and empty tennis courts, and is there enough for young people to do around here?
There's not enough. There's not enough compared to where we were in the 1970s when I was in my teens. Having said that, the kind of facilities that were available, I wasn't personally making use of, but I saw them being made use of. The kind of play schemes and that I'd go to occasionally, but that wasn't what appealed to me. When I did go to them, they were full. So yes, absolutely, we do need things like that. We've still got the shells of some of these buildings, and some of them unfortunately are just shells now. There are some buildings that wouldn't take a huge amount of money to actually get into a good state of repair, but then it's the running costs. I mean, there is not the money to get some of these buildings into a good state of repair, but there are. Which
leads us on to some areas. For example, we mentioned down by Ty Green, there's been a couple of serious crimes occurring in that area. Is your ward a safe ward for the residents?
I would say, in reality, yes. The answer is that it is a safe ward. Certainly no more or less than anywhere else in Harlow. I think the issue, as with any crime, is that when a serious crime takes place, it becomes headline news, and that feeds the perception of crime. But statistics show that there's a big gulf between perception and reality. And in reality, crime in Harlow is actually on the decline, not the increase. So I think the issue and the challenge for local councillors and other members of the civic community is actually to work together to address that perception, to actually make people feel safe in their home, to make people feel that they're protected from crime, and actually working with the local police, working with the PCSOs, helping them raise their profile, I think is a big part of what we do as local councillors, to actually help people realise that actually Harlow is a safe and pleasant place to live in. Crime will happen and crime will be tackled, but it's not as prevalent as what you see perhaps once a month in your local paper or on your local online news.
One of the things I've noticed, I spoke to a head teacher over in our sister paper, Thurrock, who worked at 2 primary schools here in Harlow, Perfect Green and Pear Tree Mead. And what he said he liked about Harlow was the sense of pride about its history, its culture and its engagement. It was very cohesive. That's something that you're very much woven into. You're very proud of being from
Absolutely.
here.
I mean, that was the reason that I decided to stand as a councillor in the first place. And when I made that decision, I made the decision on the basis that I wasn't interested in just being a councillor per se. I was interested in being a councillor in Bush Fair. I was born in the old Bush Fair ward in Bushy Croft. I went to William Martin School, which is still in the ward. I then went to Latin Bush School. I lived in the Fortunes. I now live in Spencer's Croft. I've been out of Harlow for 3 years out of my nearly 50 years of living life. It is my home. It is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I will stand up for. A lot of the criticism for Harlow, it's interesting that the place that I lived in when I wasn't in Harlow was Hull, which also tends to get a bad press, predominantly by people that have never been there, or predominantly from people that are actually on the outskirts. And a lot of the criticism that we get from Harlow are actually from our neighbours who regularly come in and use our facilities. The number of people from outside